they tried.
Could be. Maybe they tried. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. But I wonder, was he ever discouraged from going that route? I can tell you right now, whippings, and spankings discourage you. You'll begin to rethink those actions that you've made. Sometimes it takes more than one. But he was never brought into submission to the will and purpose of God. And by the way, parents, you spank, you whip, you whoop, you do whatever you can to bring them to that. But in the end, it's still a decision they'll make. It's an individual decision to choose to serve God or choose not to choose to be righteous or choose not to. That's still an individual decision. You can't make that decision, but you can imprint upon them a desire to make the right decision. But in the end, it's theirs. It's theirs. And I will say this, and this is free. Don't be overly discouraged and down on yourself. If your children choose to go another route, not all of them continue. I was a scamp for a while. God has a way of getting hold of the hearts by touching your life and bringing you back. Just continue to pray for them. They may break your heart, but continue to pray for them and trust God to work. So, I think his desire is leading him in this direction. He's taking on a position God never intended him to have. And as I've mentioned, I've seen this happen in lives before, and we always say there's a wreck getting ready to happen, and so we're just watching and waiting, because whatever you say, they don't listen. And it happens. Go on here, and it says, Micah said unto him, dwell with me. A strong desire is expressed many times in the way of a command. And that's what this is. This is a command. Dwell with me. So it's like an order or a command, but Micah really doesn't have the authority to command this person to do this. So he's trying, in a way, to have authority over him. It's an order. But it's, I would think also, because of that, have you ever run to somebody and you're talking with them and they find out you have something you want, or you're going someplace they want to go, and then they really begin to push on you? Take me, give me that. Have you ever been there? It's kind of aggressive. They're kind of trying to command you. You need to give that to me. You know, I think that's what it is. I think at this point Micah sees what he wants, and he's trying to, in a way, assert authority over by ordering or commanding him. You know, dwell with me. Come on. We can have so much fun. You know what? Anyway, you understand what I'm saying. So he's expressing this, but he doesn't have the authority. However, this is exactly what this young man wants. I mean, this is right up my alley, you know. I mean, it's hard to refuse, isn't it? Think of what he's getting. Now, 10 shekels doesn't seem like a lot today, but what was it back then? I don't know. But then you place on top of that, think about what he's getting. He's getting room and board. He's getting clothes. He's getting money. You know, I mean, what isn't he getting? He's getting everything that he needs to survive, a place to stay and all that. Plus he's getting money on top. Plus, he's getting what he really wants. He's getting to be a priest. Respect and honor that goes with the position is his. So everything is really falling out. I think also because of what Micah says about dwelling with me, again, it's revealing his desire to have some kind of validation for his gods. Micah then adds another bait to snare him. And this is before we get, actually I was getting a little ahead of myself, but he says, be unto me a father and a priest. What does that mean? How can a young man be unto you as a father? What is a father?
He's the parent of a child. He has children.
What does he represent?
God.
Authority.
And what did you say?
God. He represents God and the family.
You're both right. Because to be unto me a father, he's in a way saying, be unto me an authority, but also there's a relationship implied there. You know, I will, even though I'm the man, I will submit unto you. Really. the father figure, the authority of a priest as well, you know. So he's offering a position of honor and respect. He would have a place of authority to work and earn honor and respect. Everything he wished for, all the things were right here. We have a saying that when it's called instant gratification. Not willing to earn, but wanting it so quick. They want it given to them. And that's basically what's going on here. I want what I want, you need to give it to me. You know, but he says he's not content. He's looking around, now he found somebody giving it to him. You know. He didn't take long years of work. He didn't have to labor for this. It's now being placed in his life. He's a youth. Worst thing you could give youth is respect and authority, I think. But anyway, I think some of you understand what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that's a rule, but you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes they just can't handle it. By the way, in case you're confused, let me just say this. Fear is never respect. Now, why do I say that? Well, think about it. You have people that you fear and people you respect. You typically, on the outward appearance, you treat them both the same. Because fear makes you respect that, oh, they could hurt me or whatever. And the other one is you just respect me, think, you know what? You understand the admiration. So it's two different aspects. Fear comes from the threat value, but respect comes from the admiration. Let me just say this. One day, that fear value will diminish. The older a person gets or the stronger the other, you understand. But that respect from adoration, I think I said that right, I may be wrong, that never diminishes unless they really mess up their testimony. You know, there are even people that have messed up their testimony that I still have a respect for because of what they have done in the past for God. You know, I understand where they've fallen, but I still, because of what they've done and what they've accomplished for the Lord, I still have a respect for them. I would not say it would cover every area of their life. But I do acknowledge, you know, they've been used of God. So again, we talk about this man and his responsibility in holding that position. I don't think he understood that. He understood the reverence, the honor, or respect that would go, you know. Can I just be blunt? When we were overseas, I was walking one time with a young man to go into a church, and next thing I remember seeing was the clouds in between my feet. And I apparently had slipped and flipped on my back. It liked to kill me. Well, what do I get now? I get about 10 young men trying to help me up. Now that's kind of embarrassing, you know, because you feel like I'm a man, I'm still young, you know, I'm not, and I have all these young kids around me. So what happens next? They want to open the doors, they want to hold my hands and arms, and I'm thinking, that is not what I wanted. I felt very hard, very embarrassed, I guess I should say, about getting that treatment. They give me that treatment because they knew I was a preacher, they knew I was an older man, and they give you a lot of respect. I appreciate it, but let me get up myself, you know. And I'm really not that old. I think I can walk by myself. But you understand, there's just certain times, I never was one to handle that well. I didn't like the attention. And so this man wants it, doesn't he? Look at me. Look, keep your eyes on me. Watch me. Be careful. Be careful what you covet. And I'll tell you why. Because you'll not dream of the accountability that comes with some of those things. You will stand before God one day, and you will have to answer to Him for your actions. So be careful. You might not like what you end up having to answer for. I really, honestly, just to make it simple, I think this young man doesn't realize he's stepping into a bear trap. You know what a bear trap is? It's a huge jaws. When they come together, it's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out. I mean, he's going to get himself in a mess here. And it's going to be, it would be hard to get out before God. How do you justify these actions before God? I don't think there's a good way. Why do I say that? What's the problem here?
He's doing damage to others' lives.
He's doing damage to other lives because he's getting ready to become a pagan priest. He's going from the Levitical line and the blessings of God on that line and being one that God has sanctified and claimed for himself, a gift to the Aaron and his sons, to being a pagan priest. What a step down. What a position to put yourself in on. The glinting of gold in the eyes of an individual always blinds them to the will of God. To love wealth will never lead one to God. To love righteousness and to do justly in the eyes of God will always, always lead you to the throne. I mean, to do justly, to be righteous, to love that righteousness. The offer that Micah has made, I will give thee 10 shekels of silver by the year, a suit of apparel, and thy victuals. The offering of a room, board, clothes, money. And very difficult for a young person who's looking for satisfaction to be content to turn down. And you know, that's the problem with the world today. There's so many things it offers out there that our youth see it. And then they see coming and sitting in church and learning about God, and they're thinking, I have to do that in school. Why do I want to do it again on Sunday? You know, what's the value in that? They don't see the value. But give us a few years, right? Let us grow up. Let us begin to feel the aches and pains of life. Let us begin to go through the hardships, and then we begin to see the value. Well, some do, not all. So let's go to 11. I got a few minutes, so I'll start this. And the Levite was content. Well, there you go. He now became happy. All these other things, all these other places he was at, they didn't make him happy. But the Levite was content to dwell with the man. Now, this is an interesting statement in this verse. It said, the young man was unto him as one of his sons. Didn't that Micah say he wanted him to be a father? And now he does to him as one of his sons. Where's the authority go there? The authority goes back down. Now, we go see it more and more. But I get a little confused in this. Both two people serving each other, both can't be authorities. You can serve each other, but you can't both be authorities. In my house, there's only one authority. Ain't that right, Vera? You're the authority? You can't trick her into that. She doesn't want anything to do with that. You know, but really, you can only have one authority. You just can't. You can't have more than one authority. It doesn't work. So how does this man make how does Micah make this young man the authority, now look at him as his son? Who's in control? Who's calling the shots? Well, you already know Micah is, because he's giving him everything. He's bought him. You ever heard of a politician being bought? What does that mean?
Someone gave him money to do something for them.
So who controls the politician?
Person who gave them that money.
So you buy a priest, who controls the priest? The purse giving the money. You know, one of the reasons I don't know and don't want to know what people tithe, and let me just make this clear. I have all rights to know. I have all rights to look at all these. I choose not to, okay? Because I don't want anything influencing my preaching. You start looking at these things and they give so big, let's don't offend them. I don't care. I don't want to know. I want God to tell me what to preach, and then I want to preach His word as I don't want any interference from that. And so you understand, if Micah knows who's paying his bills. The young man knows who's paying his bill. He knows it's Micah. So now, I don't care what Micah says, that young man is submitting to his authority. You can't have a priest that submits to the authority of the people. You can't. It's impossible. You can only have one authority. My authority has to be God. Has to be, or it doesn't work. Your authority has to be God, or it doesn't work. You cannot watch the fads, you cannot watch the people, you cannot watch the things that happen in this world. You have to submit to God and God alone. If you watch the world, you'll have a fear of the things of the world and you'll submit to that. You understand? But one day you'll stand before God and you'll realize just how big a mistake that was. When He's on that throne high and lifted up and we get to stand before Him or kneel before Him, we'll realize all these other fears didn't really mean anything, did they? No. Only one. Yes, sir.
Numbers chapter 18 is an excellent chapter speaking about the Levitical priesthood and about especially the relationship between the Levites and the priests.
Yes.
It shows there's many, many things in this chapter that go right along with understanding how they relate to one another, and I believe also a perverting of the tithe. In verse 10, Judges 17:10, where it talks about Micah said unto him, dwell with me, and I will be your father and the priest, and I will give thee 10 shekels of silver by year, and a suit of apparel, and by victuals. So the Levite went in. I think that is a perverting of the tithes.
And wait a minute, give me that reference one more time.
Judges 17, verse 10, and then I went to Numbers 18. Because the Levites were commanded, the people were commanded to take tithes according to the Levitical, according to the law in Hebrews 7:5, and they were supposed to give 10% to the priest.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a perversion I see in Judges 17:10.
I do have Numbers 18, but I didn't write down anything in Judges.
Basically the whole chapter.
There was 237 references, so I definitely didn't get through all of it. You said Hebrews 7:5?
Hebrews 7:5.
Yeah.
Tithes were commanded to be given according to the law.
Mm-hmm. I'll reference those in too, but I think the point I was trying to make is made, but yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, thank you. I think there's a lot there that we need to we could study and learn so much. Yes, ma'am.
My Bible has a note here, it says that this is a striking illustration of all apostasy.
Yeah. This is actually you're going to see some other connections as we go on if you haven't read ahead that relate back into some things in some other books. Whether I will tie those things together, it depends on how our teaching goes at that point. But anyway, let's stop here. You got about 10 minutes to get your legs stretched or whatnot. And so anyway, we are dismissed and we'll be back on the hour.